Hi, everybody. My name is Michaela Ferrante. This is Erin Jenkins, and we're the co-founders of Blue & Co. Property Management.
Welcome to our 7th episode of Industry Spotlights. We have the pleasure of interviewing Renarda Joy from Joy Property Group. Renarda, tell us about yourself and your position at Joy Property Group.
Hi, so first, thank you for having me on, ladies. It's definitely a pleasure to be here today. So as you said, my name is Renarda Joy, and I currently work with motivated investors. I help them take the money that they have and earned and help them to create more revenue. And I've done that here at Joy Property Group, but we're also a real estate firm where we help our clients manage their properties as well as build up their portfolio where they can have like long-lasting growth.
Love that.
Excellent.
And you're also, you mentioned you're also in the property management sector then as well, right?
I'm also in the property management sector, yes.
Love
I share that with you ladies.
Love that.
Excellent.
So
what's going on?
I think it's the question everyone asks us and that we love to ask every other property manager. How did you get here? What led you to property management? What led you to being a wealth manager as well?
So, okay, so what happened was I'm a third generation investor. And so my grandfather was an investor, a property manager, a property and real estate investor, and so was my mom. And so what happened was one day, I was probably around 10 years old, going with my mom, looking at properties because she actually needed to move the structure of the building to another location. Now, again, I was 10, so I don't remember all the logistics, but I do remember when she relocated that building, that everybody in the neighborhood, they were so happy that she improved the neighborhood, including right across the street was a classmate. And I just remember watching my mom build what I considered a real estate empire. And I was like, when I grow up, I want what my mom has. So fast forward, I ended up after my 10th property, I realized that your goal as an investor is to always constantly look at your P&L, your profit and loss, to find ways to decrease your expenses. And one of the items that was on the list that I could decrease, or at least I thought I could at the time, was property management. So I decided after my 10th or 11th property to start managing my own properties because I was already a tenant. So I knew how to understand how to put together a property management from a tenant's lens, but now I had to actually get some more training from being on the other side, the manager lens, because that was a whole different skill set. It wasn't like this could be a hobby. This was a business. But can I tell you, it was very rewarding. So that's how I got into having my own property management company. And then the wealth strategist kind of came along the way. We're talking about 20 years of me matriculating through, as you ladies know, real estate is like a moving industry, right? There's so many different moving pieces to it in this landscape of real estate. And so I've been a realtor, I've been an investor, I've been a property manager. And so after all these years of 20 years of learning and failing moments, I've actually packaged a program. It's an online 12-week wealth building course. It's called the Legacy Playbook. So now I get to actually put on my wealth strategist hat, and I'm very excited about it.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a pretty broad
Quite the coming up story. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to hear of someone who got into property management for, I guess, the better and to do good, just to kind of revolutionize the way the industry is currently run, and kind of take the stigma off of tenants and property managers, I think, alike. We really like offering educational resources, which is why we do industry spotlights, because it really lends itself to the industry, and it'll help eventually kind of curb the bad taste in people's mouths when they find out that we're not greedy. We're here to actually make things a little better for where you're living. So I guess in the past few years, we've definitely seen younger generations take a bigger step in investing in properties. Most are staying home. We've seen a lot of increase in young people purchasing investment properties. A lot of them are choosing to stay home, purchase the property, and then rent it out as an income stream. What, I guess, kind of increase have you seen recently in investment properties and commercial, residential, industrial? If you can kind of lend your opinion and your foresight into that.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, when you used to think of real estate investors, you used to think of large corporations, but now the individual real estate investors, they are now accounting for 72%. So that's already an increase, which is really good. And people aren't just doing the traditional residential and commercial. I'm seeing a lot of people buy the parking lots, that's very popular, as well as storage facilities. People are buying land just so that they can build storage facilities. So I mean, that's one of those things about real estate that I love. It's not a cookie cutter experience. You can kind of come in here and be very creative and make it tailored that it's suitable for yourself.
Very diverse.
100%. Yeah, we've definitely seen, I think, more of that industrial vibe coming up now too. Just there's such a surge, like you said, in everyone wanting land, and then get it. What do you do with it?
Right.
Make a profit, right?
Well, and it's thinking outside of the box.
It's one of those things that is so hard to come by, in certain markets that is. And when you do, it's like gold because there's so many different things that you can develop on there.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Actually, I think it used to be pretty run of the mill, purchase a little house, rent it out, and then either flip it or sell it. But now I think you're right. People are choosing to diversify, find other ways to make money, and the longevity of their investment, find somewhere bigger and better that they can build on eventually and add to. So that's great. That's awesome.
Right. People's needs have changed. I mean, what we've learned, especially coming off of the pandemic, was people lost their places and they needed places to actually store their items. And so there were more people with items than there were storage spaces.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So lending itself to both both all of commercial, residential, industrial kinds of properties. I know that you're obviously a little bit biased, but why do you think property management is important? It's an additional expense, and we totally understand that. Not everyone wants to cough up that expense, but we always tell people it's an expense that pays itself off in reality. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, having a property management company, a good property management company, will give you an ease of mind. Just imagine this: it's Christmas Eve, whether you're in New York where I'm located or in Canada where you are, and it's 2:00 in the morning and your tenants are calling you because their pipes have burst. Do you really want to deal with that call? So a property management company can give you an ease of mind. And like I told you a little bit ago, they help you with your profit and loss. Their goal should be to help you decrease your expenses and increase your income, right? Your cash flow. And also when you're working with a good property manager, I love the fact that they have like a preferred lender or preferred contractor list that they can actually help you in their network with people that can help you if you need work done with your properties. And they're there to, do the inspections, the day-to-day operations that you don't have to deal with. They interface with your tenants. And that's one of the things that I love about being a property management company is the fact that most of our clients, their tenants, they never know if we actually own the property or if there's an investor, because we treat them with such care and we understand the interfacing with them is so important. So it's good to have a property management company that's going to understand what your bottom line is, making sure that your vacancies stay very low to none, and making sure that they're doing regular inspections, right? Both inside and outside, making sure there's no trip hazards, just having a presence. So yeah, I think it's very vital to having a real estate business. And again, it's a business and not a hobby, so you should treat it as such. And a property management company is very vital. It's like the pulse to actually keeping your business running for real estate.
It's true. I think we've seen a lot of different companies who are potentially still like stuck in the old way of doing things. So you get like comfortable in the way you do business. And I think they either forget or they just forego fostering those relationships with tenants, right? Because ultimately it's still, just because the tenants aren't paying you doesn't mean they don't deserve attention or adequate maintenance or property inspection. Because if I'm renting somewhere, I want to know that I can call someone if I have a maintenance request or I have a complaint or just general inquiries, that someone's going to take the time. I mean, the amount of horror stories we've heard from people saying, like, my property manager hasn't called me back in 2 weeks, or I let them know about this, this, and this, and it still hasn't gotten done, or they don't even remember my name. And while I understand, like, you could have a lot of tenants and maybe you don't know their favorite color and their dog's name and all that, I think it's still nice to take that time to sit down and address their needs.
Right.
And just keep an open line of communication with both tenants and the owners of the property. I think it completely revolutionizes the way property management is done.
Well, coming from both perspectives.
Also help with the turnover rate, because they'll want to stay longer because you not only are giving them an apartment, it actually feels like home. And who wouldn't want that? And who wouldn't want to stay with that as long as, it fits their needs and their pricing and their family size. As long as all those things are important, that means that your vacancy rate is going to stay low, which is the goal. And not only that, they will refer people to you. So it's the gift of giving.
We tell all of our owners that, and a couple of them will look at us like, why do I care about my turnover rate? And we're like, I don't think people realize how much wear and tear turnovers actually have on a property.
Yeah,
But the reputation alone, that's a whole other story. But just the physical wear and tear as well. You're now putting money into that every single year to fix up all the touch-ups that happen during the move out, which are necessary. Sometimes you can't charge those back because it's wear and tear, right? So yeah, turnover rate is definitely something that it's not talked about enough because I don't think a lot of investment owners realize the importance of that.
Yeah.
Especially investment owners. They're looking for, students or something like that. Who cares if they're only here for a year? No. You want to make it a comfortable place where they'll want to do all 4 years of school, not just the one if they're students.
And then you've got guaranteed income coming in versus having maybe for some reason the market's low and it takes you 3 weeks to a month to get someone in there. Well, you've now had 1 month gone of any income coming in, which to me is a big deal, right? So, and it kind of touches on what you said before, is property management is an expense, but if you have a good management company who can foresee things like potential maintenance issues, keep up with those inspections, and making sure there's no gaps, maybe we can find a vendor who does it cheaper for you. So you're saving money.
Like time is money too.
Absolutely.
Right? Your time is money. So that's
And then going back to your example with the students, if they've been there for 4 years, well, chances are they know somebody else that can take on at least for the next 4 years. Again, referral, because now you've created such a great experience that they want to be able to help you. They want to refer people to you.
Definitely. So would you recommend an individual invest in property alone? Do you have other kind of avenues you suggest people invest in, or?
So this is where I'm a little biased. Real estate is definitely my favorite wealth builder. I mean, there's so many different benefits, right? Cash flow is just one of them, but then you got the tax perks, which is huge. You have hedge against inflation, which is really big right now, with inflation usually being 2%. Most leases, I don't know about in Canada, but I know here in the States, you should be increasing your leases at least 2% each time that you have to renew your leases, which is right on track with inflation when it's where it should be. Right now, inflation, as you guys know, is really high. And then you have equity, right? So all of that are just perks to real estate. So that's my favorite wealth builder. I'm a little bit biased with the others.
That's okay.
No, that's fair. I mean, we totally agree, right? When people are like, oh, I don't know where I should put my money, and we're like, well, we're property managers, so we think it should be in an investment property, and we can take it off your hands too. How about that? It's a 2 for 1.
And what I love also about a property manager is it allows the investor to work on their business instead of in their business. So it gives them back time and freedom to be able to work on other things that they find important, rather if it's just freedom, and that's something that you can't buy.
While they're still bringing you money. It's really, really great deal, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Again, I'm biased, so.
Right, we're biased over here.
All right, speaking of investment trends, you're obviously a wealth strategist. You'll have more insight on this than we will. Do you predict any new investment trends or any old ones coming back up in 2022, 2023?
Well, a couple of things. So I want to say, we've all been hearing about the housing bubble that's looming. I can promise you it's not going to be like 2008 if you guys were around for that big recession. A couple of reasons why. One, back then, your buyers was using 7% of their discretionary income, whereas now buyers are more educated. So they're only using about 3% of their discretionary income. And not to mention those shady subprime lenders, they've been outlawed. So you don't have to worry about that. But predictions have showed us that buyers' demand is still going to remain strong. You just have to make sure that you have an attractive offer to actually get in front of your sellers, because you're competing with a lot of different people. But the market it's like cycles, it's going to change. Another thing that I want to lend to your audience as far as trying to figure out the hardest market, what's trending right now, whether it's in the States or there in Canada, I will say this: you can do 2 ways to figure that out. You can contact your mortgage person and find out where are they funding most of their deals for their investors, where are their investors actually being funded right now. Or you can look up U-Haul and figure out where's the popular one-way destinations going, because that gives you a clear indicator of where potential renters are going.
That's fair.
Those are 2 really good tips, actually.
Not that we thought about that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, I think to wrap it up, speaking of tips and tricks, do you have any final closing tips that you want to give to any, young investors, whether they be strictly real estate, strictly, tenants? Final remarks?
Yeah, I think the first thing you should do, regardless of which wealth builder, as the ladies have said, we are biased about real estate, but whatever wealth builder you're going to do, the first thing you need to do is invest in yourself. And by doing that, get educated, because that's the first way to mitigate risk, is to really educate yourself. Don't look at these TV shows that you see on TV because they're scripted. They have a vast amount of resources. Not to say that you can't have some of their outcomes, but it's a process. So first, start with getting educated.
Excellent.
No, very true. Yeah, love that.
I think we have the same mindset when it comes to that. Education first and then make your moves after. Just like you said, it mitigates a lot of the loss. And I think the more education you have, the more you can kind of word of mouth pass it around to friends, family, neighbors, or colleagues. And then I think they kind of build up the education bubble again. I think people kind of gone the days of just like learning and educating themselves because maybe they feel uncomfortable or they don't have anything to learn about. But I mean, tenants and owners have so much available to them as far as resources and information. So I think we would agree with you on that point, that educating yourself is the best way to mitigate any loss.
Resources nowadays are so easy too. You can take TikTok, for example. That's an app that could actually be very educational for younger generations.
Yeah, it's true.
As much as
That they bought a house based off of following somebody who really showed her journey on TikTok of how she purchased her home, and somebody told me they bought their house based off of what she showed them. So yeah, you're right. Technology is there. I mean, without dating myself, YouTube University hadn't really hit the market just yet, right? So I didn't have that. I didn't have your local meetup groups. You have to make sure that you TTP, talk to people, let people know what you're interested in. And that's how you're going to really attract, you know, the resources that you need to move from where you're at to where you desire to be.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. You've got such a great energy and we really appreciate your insights into, you know, upcoming trends, past trends, and the do's and don'ts. And it's just really nice to sit down and chat with a fellow property manager who has the same kind of industry outlook as we do. So thank you so much for taking the time today, Renarda.
thank you.
You.